have been famously known for getting inside the home.
Get in, baby. The trust that you can build on the porch pales in comparison to the trust and rapport that you can build once you're inside someone's home, sitting at the kitchen table. My transition is really simple. It's the same for almost 15 years, but it's like, hey,
Our manual process. One of the first things that Mike did is he just looked at our systems and he was like, hey, you're liking this. These types of systems, we've seen radical results. Talk to me about your process of now building teams.
think about the people that you have now. What's their next step? If they don't have a vision, you're missing a way to truly motivate someone because that personal growth is intrinsically, now they want it.
Come on. You are the best recruiter I know. You hear them out, you make them feel special, and then you slowly get them to start seeing things how you see it. Like, how did you learn to recruit?
This is why I do this job. Creating a community where people can come together and literally change their lives. When you're talking about recruiting in the solar industry, the most important thing, hands down, is
Welcome to the VIP, the Valor Impact Podcast. My name is John Soriano. We believe that you can have it all, that you can be successful in all areas of your life, your faith, your family, your fitness, your finance, that you do not have to choose between one or the other. And as you listen in, take notes, take it all in, ask yourself, how can I apply this today? How can I go out there and execute today? Because we're gonna teach you a wide range of things, from sales, from leadership, to finances, to mindset, to even how to have success in sales and in your marriage. And my only ask is that you like this video, you subscribe to it, you share it with somebody in the sales industry, and that you also ultimately go out there and execute on everything that you want. Welcome to the Valor Impact Podcast. Today, we have one of my best friends. He's also my partner and helps me run the Valor division. Honestly, we would not have had the results that Valor and Legacy have had over the last 2 years if it wasn't for Mike Brand. If you guys don't know Mike Brand, he's been in the door-to-door space for 15 years. He started in alarms and then went into solar. He has over 1,000 personal all-time installs. He has led massive teams. Worked at Vivint, then SunRun, then now here. But what I love the most about Mike Brand is that he is a builder. I have not really seen anybody else in the space that can build as well as Mike. He's a master when it comes to systems, and he's also a master when it comes to recruitment. I've been in many recruiting meetings with Mike Brand, and the way he recruits, the way he makes people feel seen, known, wanted, and valued is unlike anything else I've ever seen. So with all that, Mike, I'm excited that you're here. Hey, this is our show. So
this is it. Thanks for having me. Super grateful to be here. Super grateful to be a part of Valor the last few years, and it's been fun to be a part of the rocket ship. I mean, 40% year-over-year install growth from 2023 to 2024 is a testament to kind of what you've built and what a lot of our leaders have built here in Valor. We have 30, 40 leaders that run this division, 500 salespeople, and it's just been fun to be a part of.
Yeah, no, and something that I'm reminded that Jake Ransom said recently, they're like, before Mike Brand came, we were good. But after you came, we became great.
Thanks, fam.
And so, honestly, I can't say enough how much value you've brought in. But a big reason you're here is because we are abundant-minded, and we don't want to just keep your wisdom. We really want to share it with the world, because me and you are really passionate about our industry. We're passionate about providing a great service, and we're passionate about doing a lot of good. And so we want to provide a value add to the industry where other people can maybe adopt some of our principles and mindsets. And if it blesses them and helps their business, great. We know we can go to bed at night knowing we're doing a lot of good. So we're definitely going to extract a lot of gold from you. But for those of you that maybe don't know you, can you just share a little bit about your background,
Sure.
Who you are, what got you into sales?
Yeah. So I've been married 14 years, going on 14 years this April. I have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 8. Luke, David, and Gigi. And so my family's my life, number one. I've been in, like you said, direct sales for 15 years. I got into selling security door to door in 2009. And
I was just graduating high school.
Yeah.
Literally graduating
age
high school.
myself here. I'm pushing 40. So I'm a dinosaur in the industry, but I've been in door to door, direct to home for 15 years. Sold alarms for 3 years. for APX and then Vivint Security. And then I transitioned out to the East Coast to start my solar career in New Jersey in 2012. 2013, about 6 months after I started solar, I got asked to open up the first New York market for a company called Vivint Solar at the time. And it just took off, kind of right place, right time in New York, Long Island. It was just the land of milk and honey. No one had solar. No one had ever heard of a PPA. And from 2013 to 2016, we did 10,000 installs, opened 5 offices.
Wow.
I was running the state of New York for Vivint.
And you managed all these 10,000 installs.
Yep. So
wow.
we started with 10 guys on Long Island and built it into hundreds of sales reps. And
can you share, just while we're on that, can you just share some leadership principles on like how you guys, how'd you go from 10 guys
Sure.
to 10,000 installs?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that because when Vivint Solar first started, their business strategy was basically taking leaders and salespeople from the home automation side, the alarm side, and putting them into different solar markets. And they had good leadership, but all the offices were pretty tiny at the time because none of them were recruiting and building locally. So it was all a bunch of transplants. So it was guys from Utah that would go move out to Massachusetts or move out to Hawaii or move out to Concord, California. And so on Long Island, we brought 10 guys, but we really plugged into the local market. And we really started to try to recruit locally. And then we focused on networking and multiplying through that local talent. And so we went from 10 people to 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 sales reps out of one office. We were installing 600 installs a quarter for 8 quarters straight and for 2 years straight. But really it was the shift in focus from like bringing people to an area and just selling there to really like, hey, this is our home. We're going to recruit locally and build a year-round local office compared to like a summer model that Vivint Alarms kind of came from.
Yeah. It reminds me of a quote or something that Doug Robinson told me years ago. And he was like, John, be the CEO of your market. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can adopt that mindset of like, okay, I'm the CEO of my market. Great. That means I got to sell. That means I got to recruit. That means I got to build systems. That means I got to learn how to retain people, learn how to, commissions and all that. And so it sounds like you've really adopted that mindset of like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and be the CEO of this market. This is my domain. And you focus on the KPIs that ultimately granted you like 80% of the results.
Yeah. And at the time, we had to do everything. We had to wear every hat. And so, Vivint Solar at the time in 2012, 2013, it was bootstrapped. They were like whiteboarding account management, and just figuring stuff out at the time. And so not only were we running a sales team, but I was kind of the local leader that was communicating with operations and figuring out systems and how to run operations as well and problem solve on the operations side. So anyways, I was there for 3 years. In 2016, my wife and I decided to move back west to California. And around that time, we got pregnant with our third. So we had our 2 boys in New York. And when we got pregnant with Gigi, we decided we didn't want to have 3 toddlers in negative 10 degrees on Long Island. So we moved back west. I'm from Sacramento. My wife's from Utah. So we moved back west in 2016, still working for Vivint Solar. We worked for Vivint Solar through the transition. SunRun purchased Vivint Solar in 2018-ish. I always forget the timeline because it was just, for us, it was just changing the color of our jerseys. It was kind of like business as usual during that transition. Nothing really changed except, we went from wearing orange to wearing blue. Still have a special place in my heart for the color orange, shout out Vivint Solar. But that was a great time, and I worked at SunRun for many years and ran their largest sales division in Southern California. And then I made the transition to Legacy 2 years ago, and it's been the best decision I've ever made. I absolutely love working at Legacy with you, with Doug, with Luke, and it's been fun to see kind of what we've built the last 2 years and what we've done.
Yeah, I've been, in the 2 years I've known you, I've been so impressed by how many people know your name and know your brand. No pun intended, right? And what's crazy is you don't even have a social media presence, but yet so many people know you exist. So many people know, like, you say your name and like you're just, everyone knows, oh, Mike Brand. They respect you. They respect the hustle.
Thanks, man.
And one thing actually I want to touch on, because I think this is something that you've been famously known for, and that's getting inside the home.
Get in, baby.
And so, can you just touch on that a little bit? I just want to give the viewers really a taste of just how great you are, because that's one thing that I remember one of the first trainings you ever did to our group was that, and that has radically shifted how we do business. Like, we weren't taught that before, like getting the home, And so can you walk us through that? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah.
And why do you do it? Like, share the why.
Well, I think it's an industry-wide problem. I think as salespeople, we take the path of least resistance. And so we have a setter-closer model, and setters, if they can get a power bill on the door, they're feeling good. You get a little dopamine hit. But the reality is the trust that you can build on the porch pales in comparison to the trust and rapport that you can build once you're inside someone's home, sitting at the kitchen table. And so really early on in my career, I told you I sold alarms for 3 years. And with alarms, you have to get in the house, because you're going to go over to their daughter's bedroom window and like lift it up and stick your head through and be like, hey, do you think someone can fit through here? Like that's how you sell. It's really high pressure and you got to get in, and it's a fast close. And so I took that approach to solar. Instead of just getting a bill on the door and setting a return appointment where a lot of those appointments are going to fall through or they're going to cancel. And really that whole approach is kind of taking the sales out of it, and all you're doing is just collecting low-hanging fruit. You're collecting bills, and the people that are very interested in solar, great. Those appointments are going to stick. But the people that are on the fence, all those appointments are going to cancel. The only way that you're able to get fence sitters and get people maybe from not interested to interested is you have to break through that barrier and get into the home so that you can build really real trust, real rapport. They actually remember your name. You're able to connect on a deeper level. Practically, the shift that you have to make is just in your mind, number one. So as you're doing a door approach, instead of thinking, okay, how can I get this customer's bill? Every decision I make and everything I say is, how can I get into this person's home? And so number one, you have to make that shift. And then number two, it's just not settling for asking for the bill. Once you get to the end of your door approach, you got your intro, problem, solution, your takeaway. Like, hey, I don't know if the home will qualify for something like this. And then instead of asking for the bill, it's transitioning into the home. Yeah. And my transition is really simple. It's the same for almost 15 years, but it's like, hey, my job's super simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some notes inside, just on a corner of your table. I'm going to write down program details and some quick notes for you. And then on my way out, I'll let you know when we're coming back with the results for some of the homes in the street. So that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of time. I got to be quick. I just need a table and a chair real quick to jot these notes down. And then I look down and say, shoes on or off. And that's kind of been like the tagline at Legacy the last 2 years, is people always come up to me. They're like, Mike, shoes on or off,
What I love about it is when people do it for the first time, you just see this confidence boost.
Yeah.
Like, I got inside the home. Like, they feel like they've unlocked this superpower, because it requires confidence to do what you just do. Like, the people who are resistant, they're like, oh, it's a confidence thing. And so I love that. And I've seen so many guys light up after they've done it, and all of a sudden the results they're just different, because now they're more confident in the doors. Because if you can get inside a home, man, that's like, again, you unlock a new superpower.
Yeah, and your appointments are going to sit a lot more frequently when you get in. And it's not just getting in and then getting a bill and getting out. The reason you get in is to get to the kitchen table, to talk about the pictures on their wall and the vacations that they like to go on, and get a deeper sense of like who this person is, and to genuinely connect and find common ground. And then from there, kind of part two of getting in is killing the bill, like getting their utility bill and really showing them how they buy power from SDG&E or SCE, and breaking that down and creating some pain, creating some emotion, talking about the solar cycle and why so many of their neighbors are going solar, how the utility companies are losing money, losing revenue, so they're raising their rates, kind of drawing that out for them. So I think if you can combine those two things, getting in the house and then creating pain and creating emotion by killing the bill, man, that's half the sale. Yeah. I mean, you're a big step closer to getting signed docs and like getting that customer through the process,
Yeah, and I feel like a theme here as we keep going on in this podcast is, you are a man of process, and you just said it. You're a man of process, right? You have a process when you knock, You have a process when you go in the close. You also have a process in building teams and sustaining teams, and you have a process for recruiting. So I really want to focus on those two other pieces, your process of when it comes to systems and how are you scaling, how are you sustaining, for the viewers. One of the first things that Mike did when he came over to Legacy is he just looked at our systems and he was like, hey, you're lacking this, or hey, how can we improve this system? And, we implemented a lot of really great systems, one of them being a leadership development program, another one being an opportunity call. And these types of systems, we've seen radical results, good results, right? And so talk to me about your process of now building teams. What have been some things you've learned over the years on all right, this is how do you build a team. This is also how you sustain a team. Right. Maybe even talk about leadership development, but because I think that's something that's lacking a lot in the industry right now.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing you look at when you're team building and kind of the principle that I operate from is I don't want to recruit and grow and build by addition. I want to recruit, grow, and build by multiplication. I want to leverage other people's networks, resources, time, energy, and I want to intrinsically motivate them to go and recruit. And so I'm actually listening to a book, How We Measure Life by Clayton Christensen right now, and he talks about how money isn't the motivator for people. A much bigger motivator for people is like the pursuit of personal growth, for example, for progression and personal growth. And he goes on to mention other things as well. But that stood out to me because I think as I've built teams, the best way to build is to have a clear path for growth and progression for everyone on your team. And so instead of talking about, hey, we have a recruiting pay scale, we're going to pay you to go recruit. That doesn't motivate people, doesn't get people excited. But if you say, hey, here's the metrics to earn a promotion and to progress and level up in your career. And there's some pay attached to that. But our leadership progression path, there's a really clear path for each step. And so when I came on board 2 years ago, we didn't have a leadership development group. We didn't have kind of a leadership progression path for how you get promoted to maybe an assistant district manager or district manager or regional. And so I think putting a clear path in place and giving people metrics to hit and then constantly talking about those metrics and kind of painting the vision for how people can have personal growth and develop, that's a huge motivator. So for example, like one of the things we instituted was our leadership development program. We call it Valor DNA. And the tagline for Valor DNA is leadership's in our blood. But obviously you start out as a setter. We have metrics to graduate to a closer. And then once you're a closer, we have install metrics that you need to hit on a quarterly basis to get into our Valor DNA program, our leadership development program. And with that group, we do weekly leadership development calls. We have a chat with all of their peers across the entire division. We do quarterly retreats where we pour into those people, and we do life mapping, and we do community building activities. We take them to Lakers games and go to the suites, and we do a lot of fun things and activities. We have special incentives for that group. And so what it becomes, obviously we're pouring into those people every week and every quarter and giving them leadership training. But we're also constantly talking about the next step with that group. And so if you're on this podcast, if you're listening to this and you want to grow, think about the people that you have now. What's their next step? If they don't have a vision for what the next step for them is in their career, you're missing the boat. You're missing a way to truly motivate someone because that personal growth, that progression is intrinsically, now they want it. It's not you asking them to go recruit. And so you put these metrics in place and we speak life into our Valor DNA leadership group, and they're genuinely excited to share the opportunity with friends and with people that they meet because they want to grow personally. They want that stewardship and they're being poured into.
Yeah. And that's even important for oneself, right? If you also don't know what the next step is, you need to pause and evaluate. Okay, what else? What am I working towards?
Right.
Because we all need that. And for the viewers too. I mean, even to throw some stats out there, I feel like in the 2 years since we've adopted that, we've had probably 50-ish people be a part of Valor DNA if you kind of combine everybody. And within that, I think we've only lost like maybe five of those people to where they're like, to where they're no longer with us. So, I mean, it's been a great retention tool, right? Because I think oftentimes in the industry, at least, we see a lot of guys that are recruiting, which recruiting is important. But if you don't have something to retain that talent, you know, whether it be your onboarding process sucks, or the correlation, the content is not that best, right? Or, you know, we also implemented training calls on Wednesday. And so I think it's important to first build those defenses before you go heavy on the offense, right? Which then leads me to the next question, which is recruitment. You know, you are the best recruiter I know in the space. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I've been a part of many meetings where people will sometimes throw crazy, call it objections out there. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a good one. And you have such a way where you hear them out, you make them feel special, and then you slowly get them to start seeing things how you see it, right? And so walk us through, like, how did you learn to recruit? Was this something you were always great at, or like what has been your, I guess I'm curious, what's been your process on how you learn how to recruit?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously I've learned a lot from a lot of different people over the years, and I'm someone that I try not to reinvent the wheel. I try to find what works and duplicate it, and then maybe put my own spin on it a little bit. But I think when you're talking about recruiting in the solar industry, the most important thing, hands down, is asking good questions. People don't care what you know or what you do until they know that you actually care about them. And it has to be sincere, it has to be genuine. And so even more than in selling, when I'm recruiting, I'm asking question after question after question after question. I'm really probing and getting to know what makes this person tick. What are their goals? Hey, what are your goals over the next 3 to 5 years? You know, hey, right now, how much money do you make in your current job? How much money would you have to make to significantly change like the quality of your life? You know, hey, I know you work at such and such place right now. What do you like about it? And what don't you like about it? You know, and what are they going to do? They're going to tell you the blueprint. And by the way, Legacy has everything that you like and nothing you don't like, right? And so I think sometimes when we think of recruiting, a lot of recruiters or people, they want to talk at people. If you catch yourself talking at someone for too long, like, you're going to lose them. Because they're not there with you. They're not hearing what you're saying if you haven't connected the dots on how this helps them get what they want. Yeah. And so asking the right questions is the most important thing, bar none. And I think going into any recruiting meeting, it's like, hey, genuinely take the time to get to know that person, what makes them tick, where they want to be in their life. Do they have family? Do they have kids? What's their experience like? Hey, one of my favorite questions is, tell me your story, man. Like, I just want to hear your story. Like, tell me the ups and downs, like, where are you from? How did it all start? How'd you get into sales? You know? And then again, asking the questions where they're going to give you their hot buttons, you know?
Something that I learned from you is you say recruiting is spelled Time. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that. Like, what does that mean to you?
Sure. I think the more time that you spend with someone, whether it's in sales or when you're recruiting or trying to get this person to come and work with you, obviously the stronger the connection, the more common ground you're going to find. And it's just frequency and duration as well. Like, those are just principles of like building trust. So whether you're selling solar door to door, you know, the more often that you see a customer, the more time you spend with them, the higher the trust is. Well, it's the same in all human relationships. Like, the more time that you spend with someone, the longer those visits, the more intensity that you have. Like, how is it, like, surface level? Or are you going into depth about like, hey, what do you believe? Like, what do you hope for in the future? What are your goals? Like, what do you want for your kids and your wife? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? If you can ask those things, the longer you spend with someone, first of all, the more they're going to open up. And then the more they open up, especially if you're able to kind of repeat back. Like, if you ask someone their goals and you're able to repeat back what they want in life, you'll see their eyes just light up. Like, just for them to hear it back, you know? But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, the more time that you spend with someone, obviously, the stronger the connection, the stronger the trust, and the more receptive they're going to be to whatever you're saying.
Yeah. So what are some ways that you spend time with them? Like, are you like I know you're big on going to the gym, for example.
Yep.
Right. You guys go to the gym. And I mean, have you noticed, like, do you have a process to that?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Definitely process. So I think, first of all, if you don't know someone well, you need to spend the first 30 to 60 minutes just getting to know them.
And then before you go into that, if I can say one thing, I think all of this, of course, originates from the correct heart posture.
Right.
That you believe that where you're at is good for them.
Right.
And then also that you genuinely want to help them. Right.
Right.
I think first and foremost, I think some people, like, if you're not there yet, like if you're not even taking care of yourself yet, first get there. Right. If you're like struggling, barely getting by, you can't help somebody. You can't genuinely be like, I want to help you when you haven't even helped yourself. Right. Clearly you've done well in your life. Right. You've made millions and millions of dollars in your career. And so you can operate from that place of, I want to help this person. And so I think first and foremost, before you go into it, I think, the person has to understand that, hey, first get there, and then from this place.
Right. Yeah. And I think when we talk about a process with recruiting, I think step number one is like genuinely get to know the person, right? Like how people can feel your sincerity or your insincerity. And so sincerely getting to know that person and connecting with them, whether it's just going to the gym or grabbing a bite to eat or like taking a walk around the park. I've done that with people, like just like whatever it is, just spending time with them, not talking about work right off the get. Because when you get right into work and you're just like, it seems very self-serving, right? Again, this goes back to like building trust and rapport and connecting with people. And it is like, if you're just spitting at people what you think they want to hear without even listening to them or knowing them, it is insincere. And so there's some truth in that. So for me, my process is I want to get to know the person first, whether it's over the phone or over Zoom, preferably in person, before we get into like what we want to talk about. And then I'll always ask them like, hey, if you're considering a career change, what are the 2 or 3 most important things to you? Like, you're looking at this right now, you're considering it. What are the most important things? And you want to ensure that you're talking about the things that are most important to them. And then one of the things with recruiting is don't be scared to ask for the close. Like, I might ask 5 or 6 times. Just be like, so like based on everything we've gone over, do you see any reason why you wouldn't want to work here? Or do you see any reason why you wouldn't want to come work with us? Or more pointed, and this is like towards the end, right, of this process, is like, based on everything that we've gone over, do you see any downside of working here? Or what is the most important thing? Or what do you need to bridge the gap? Like what would prevent you from making the switch right now? Whether it's switching from another solar company or from another industry, like asking those really pointed questions to get specific. I think sometimes people are scared to like ask the question, like, what's holding you back, right. And actually getting into the real objection and like handling it so we can move forward.
Yeah. Now, what about when someone maybe is not ready to make the change, right? Because no one has 100% success rate. What's your process then?
Yeah, good question. So the thing with recruiting too is you can't force someone to come work with you. Like you don't want to like have to be convincing too hard. Right. You want to lay out all the facts and talk about what's important to them, and you're just presenting an opportunity. And a lot of times it's not the right timing. Well, instead of burning that bridge, making sure that you have a way to organize everyone that you've spoken to. And then I have like a weekly, monthly, quarterly follow-up list where it's like once a quarter, I'll call someone. I actually just talked to someone today that works for another company that I've been friends with for 8 years, and he lives like kind of coastal, and we don't really have an office up there. It's not the right timing right now. But we just caught up for 20 minutes. Like, hey, how's your family? Like, tell me about your kids. Like, how was the move back west? Like, how are you doing? So I think putting people on a list, but not treating them like they're on a list. Do you know what I mean? So being organized and keeping track and just staying sincerely in touch with people over time. Like, life is long. So you never know when someone's going to need a different opportunity or a change of scenery or whatever. And if you're keeping in touch with that person once a month or once a quarter, you're going to be the first person they call.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And even something that I know part of my process is I leverage social media a lot for a way to stay in contact with people. You know, when I meet people, I'll just be like, hey, what's your Instagram? And then we follow each other, right? And then I may not talk to that person, but I'm always posting. They're always watching my content. And sometimes I'll go on my stories and I'll see who's watching my stories. And if somebody pops out like, oh, this person's watching my story, like I'll DM them or I will purposely comment on one of their stories and be like, oh, dude, that's so awesome. Hey, how are you, by the way? And again, like you said, genuinely being interested in them. So I know that's been my process, at least on, like I don't have a contacts list. I use social media kind of for that. And it's been a great way though for people see me and then eventually something happens in their company and then they see me post. They're like, hey, I'm interested now in what you're doing. Like, can we talk some more? And so I know that's kind of another way to kind of, you know, keep in touch with people.
Yeah, and I think the thought that comes to mind as we're talking about all this is like, you can't focus too much on recruiting by addition. As soon as you start building a team, like every person that I bring on when I'm building a team or a squad or trying to start from, you know, a small number of guys, every person that I bring on, it opens up a whole new network for me. So their whole network, people that I've never met that I don't know, they know hundreds and thousands of people that are now open to me if I create a raving fan. So kind of the last piece of this, talking about systems and processes, if you're trying to build, if you're a builder and you bring someone on, you want to give that person a 5-star experience. So the most important thing you can do is like train that person, like pour into them, like take them out on the doors, pour into them, go like take them to lunch, pick their brain, get to know them a little bit, right? Train them to be a good solar salesperson so that they have a good experience. So they're on Big Check Friday. So they're making money. So they're having success. They're changing their lives. And that's the best testimonial you can have. Yeah. And so if you're an up and comer listening to this podcast, you know, maybe you are just selling and you haven't started recruiting or building a team yet, find 1, 2, 3 people that you can pour into, that you can help change their direction, their life. And that's the best testimonial you can have. And then it's also going to open up the network for those people where now you have, you know, 3, 4 people that are like, dude, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And now, hey, here's your next step. Yeah. Get into Valor DNA. Who do you know? I want to help you start to build your team. And all of a sudden you have 10, 15, 20 people that are bringing people to the meeting, that are bringing people for you to interview. And that's how it's been everywhere I've gone. I've grown and I've built, and it's really in a genuine, sincere way, leveraging other people's networks, you know? And again, by doing that, I've helped change dozens and dozens and dozens of people's lives because those people end up getting into leadership. Right. They ended up running teams or being an assistant district manager or a district manager and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not this self-serving thing. It's like I'm genuinely pouring into these people, helping them to see the vision on what their next step is, how they can get into leadership and how they can grow and build teams.
Yeah. Now, something I see that you do on growing by multiplication is you also provide a process for maybe newer people or people that don't yet have this crazy fruit. Instead of them being the message, you kind of just train them to be the messenger, right? So for example, you know, you had people like text a certain thing to certain people. You also teach people how to leverage the opportunity call, right? To where like, hey, the goal here is be the messenger, don't be the message. So talk us through that process of like, I mean, I guess I kind of just said it, but
sure.
Talk us through that process of how you then train the newer people with maybe not as much fruit, but to leverage you, because I think that's something that sometimes leaders don't do. It's like they kind of have their people be the message. It was like, no, you should be the messenger. Right. Let me be the message.
Well, I think once you get to a certain size, so at first when you have like a small team, you're able to take every call. It's like, hey, I have this guy that I talked to at the bar or out at the gym or whatever. Can you call? It's like, yeah, I have 4 guys under me. Like
don't recruit people from the bars.
Don't recruit people from the bars. Yeah.
The gyms, yes.
Gym's good. But you have time to take all those calls. Yeah. At some point, because no matter whether you're recruiting someone that's been in the industry 10 years or someone who's like a server at a restaurant, it takes time. Either way, it's a minimum like 45 minute to hour conversation. And so once you get to a certain size and you have a certain amount of people under you and you're trying to grow, the problem becomes there's not enough time in the day. Yeah. And so that's where you need to start batching and being more efficient. And so that's what our opportunity calls are. So every Wednesday and Saturday at 10 a.m., either myself or someone that's very high level goes through a deck on the solar industry, on the opportunity at Legacy, about Valor and our sales division and the incentives that we run and the pay and how everything works. And we have a link to that call that gets advertised multiple times a week in all of our correlations and to all of our teams. And so now I'm able to jump on a call where I have 40 people that are interested in the opportunity. And instead of me having dozens of calls during the week, I batch that 45 minutes. I go hard for 45 minutes. At the end of the call, most of those people are ready and excited to go interview. And there's some of those people we need to follow up with and answer more questions. But the concept there is, as a leader, how can I batch activities into a tighter time zone and be really, really efficient with my time? And then how can I, add value and also leverage other people's time, to be more efficient, right? So that's been a really efficient recruiting strategy for us, where instead of like maybe a rep that's been in the industry 2 months trying to explain the opportunity to someone, they just give them the link to the call and then they're hearing it from me for 45 minutes going through a deck about Legacy and about Valor. And so it's been a really good system for us to grow by multiplication. It's not rocket science. There's other companies that do this, but it's been a system that we implement that's been really effective. And for all the reasons that I just mentioned, it's very efficient, and it helps us grow through multiplication and let those reps be the messenger instead of the message.
Yeah. So good. And as we come to kind of a close, because it's crazy, we're like nearing 40 minutes. Feels like we just started 10 minutes ago. What's next for Mike Brand? Yeah. I feel like you have so many accolades. You've accomplished many things, but like, as you think about your future, I'm curious, like, what's next for you? Like, what do you want to be known for? What do you want your brand to be?
No, it's a good question. I told you, because I've been in the industry a long time. And no matter what, when you've done something for 15 years, sometimes it can feel monotonous. Like whether it's knocking or running a correlation or even running like a leadership training, it can feel monotonous. And sometimes you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And we had our Valor DNA leadership development group meeting last Wednesday. And we did an activity called life mapping, where all of these guys in this there's about 30 of us in this leadership development group, had a poster board, and they wrote down all the lows and the highs of their life. And in the room, you could hear a pin drop. And there was grown men just in tears talking about their lives. Like being in and out of jail, struggling with addiction, but being sober now. And what I realized is that's always been my why. Like, money comes and goes. You could always spend more money than you make. It's just a tool to kind of live a lifestyle, but the money is not fulfilling. And you'll learn that early in your career when you start making a lot of money. Like, the more money you make doesn't increase your happiness. But what I realized in that moment, I text my wife and I was like, this is why I do this job. Because we're providing a platform and creating a community where people can come together, broken people can come together and literally change their lives. And like, that's what is exciting. Yeah. That's what's fulfilling when you see someone that was like homeless or almost dead now making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the solar industry, and like using that money to like build houses for people going through rehab. Yeah. Like, okay, like we're actually doing something that's like making a difference.
We're giving their pain purpose.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of these guys, they have families, they have wives and kids, and just to see the transformation of the people in the Valor division, it's so meaningful and it's so impactful. And then you see those same people want to give back, right? Because it's the butterfly effect. Like they've been poured into and they've changed their life. And now they want to, in turn, give that to the same, that same thing to the person that's just coming into the industry. And there's just so, life is hard. If you have never been broken, like you will be, and you will go through something incredibly hard if you're not right now. And so being a part of a community that like lifts each other up, and we're not scared to like talk about that and be vulnerable. I think when you ask what's next for me, I love what I do. Like, I just want to keep pouring into people and like help people change their lives. And it's cool that they pay us to do that. And solar happens to be the vehicle where we can like have a real impact on people's lives, but it's about a lot more than solar for me.
Well, I mean, I know for our division, it's our mission is to raise up 10,000 men and women of valor. And so, we still have a long way to go. Mike, you and I, we're doing this together. And so we're obviously in alignment there, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
Being a man of valor, a woman of valor is all about going from broken to having somebody that has courage in the face of adversity. Because a lot of people that have had bad upbringing, they actually use that to tear others down or to tear themselves down even more. But we're saying, nope, we're all a little broken, but let's instead use it. Let's instead give that pain purpose.
Well, it's our third value, right? Is you can have it all. We believe true success is winning the areas of faith, family, fitness, and finance. Those 4 F's. And it's been cool to see the culture that you've created in Valor the last 7-8 years, and that we've created the last couple of years, but man, just helping people to understand that there's more to life than like making money. And truly this is a personal development plan with a paycheck attached to it. Like the better you are in every area of your life, the more money you make and the better that you feel, but if you're putting your faith and your family first and fitness and you're taking care of your body, then the finances follow. Yep. But I think that's why we don't lose people to other companies. Like it's just a lot more in Valor and in Legacy than just about the money. Right. It's a community, it's a family. Like we do life together. Yeah. So I'm grateful to be a part of it, man.
Come on. Well, dude, if people want to learn more about Mike Brand, get to know you more, how can they find you?
They can't.
They can't. You're literally
good luck. There is a way. There is a way. Come work with Valor and work for Legacy, and I'll personally mentor you.
Come on.
Reach out to General John on social media. Hit him up.
You heard it here first.
Come work with us, man. We love bringing people in and helping people change their lives, man.
Yeah. Well, Mike, it's been awesome just to have you here as well as to work with you. You truly are a genius at your craft.
Thank you, man.
So I hope you guys got value. But yes, thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and we'll catch you at the next one.